Some Coinbase users are experiencing errors in buying and selling, as well as seeing empty account balances. This is some scary stuff. This stock has been on fire, but they're investigating that right now. And by the way, this comes as, of course, we were talking about Apple giving up on these EV dreams. Well, everyone seems to be embracing Satoshi Nakamoto's dream, right? Because everyone now buying Bitcoin. And a lot of it has to do with these 9 Bitcoin ETFs. Yesterday, they broke a volume record, $2.4 billion. And it looks like it's going to keep going on and on and on. With me now, Pomp Investments investor Anthony Pompliano. And ironically, you talked about this being the driver of the next leg up. You just told me because of these ETFs, I guess too much money chasing too few Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, look, what we're watching right here is a reflexive move in price. This is a classic thing that's happened in finance. It's just now on a global stage, and retail got in before the institutions, which is an important component. And so right now there's about $570 million a day of net new inflow to the ETFs, and there's about $50 million worth of Bitcoin that's being produced by the network. And so if you have 10x more demand than supply, the price has got to go up to accommodate everyone.
So we got the table here, right? The 9 ETFs. I bet really taken off big time. That had a big chunk. So when the fees, part of this too is the fees are pretty low, right? They're trying to get market share right now.
The fees are incredibly low. Today already we've had $6 billion of trading volume. It's more than 2x what we've seen so far. And again, if we had $500 million of net new inflows coming in, BlackRock's funds got $8 billion. And this was like the first day or the first week of the launch. You say, oh, that's just people being excited and the pent-up demand. We are now almost 2 months post-launch, and we're still seeing $500 million a day. Now, remember, we've got the halving coming up where we're going to go from 900 Bitcoin a day to 450. So at the same time that all of a sudden the global financial world realized that Bitcoin might be an asset they want to buy, and they're pouring billions of dollars into it, we're about to see that network cut their daily production in half. And so naturally, you get a demand shock, you get a supply shock, prices got to go up.
You said on your podcast that that Bitcoin, that this big move we're talking about now is sounding the alarm on inflation. How closely do you think Jay Powell's watching this, and what do you mean by that?
So if we go back to 2020, one of the things that we saw was Bitcoin's about $8,000 over the summer of 2020. And all of a sudden, there was a couple of investors, Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller, they came out and they said, I'm buying Bitcoin because I believe inflation is coming. We can't print trillions of dollars, and this will be the fastest horse in the inflation hedge bucket. They were correct. Bitcoin went from $8,000 to $64,000. But we got to $64,000, 800% increase, and inflation had not hit yet. Markets are forward looking. And so, same thing in November of 2021. Bitcoin started to go down in price because the Fed started talking about bringing inflation down. What I think is happening now, part of it, yes, the ETFs are a big deal, but also we're seeing some data that's saying that inflation may not go away. It may be stickier. It may actually come back to some degree. And so there's definitely a cohort of people who are buying Bitcoin in anticipation of that inflation arriving. They want to be protected by the time the damage comes.
What about those who are saying because Bitcoin is going up, it's an example of too much money sloshing around and the Fed better take action because this is a red alert. Just too much cash out there.
If you've got cash, the single most responsible thing you can do in the financial market at the moment is probably to buy some Bitcoin. You don't have to put all your money in it, but buying Bitcoin is a great way to actually hedge against the debasement of that currency. And what we're watching around the world is that governments are now over-leveraged in terms of debt. They're going to have to devalue their currencies. And so you can buy real estate, you can buy gold, you can buy Bitcoin. But I think a lot of people around the world are saying Bitcoin is going to be the thing that I want to buy. And there's only 21 million of them. There's not enough full Bitcoins for every millionaire in the world to own. And I think that's going to keep driving the price up.
20 seconds, Bob Elliott saying that institutions still not 100% on board.
I don't know who Bob Elliott is. He's probably a very nice guy, but I disagree.
If I had more time, I would have given you more of his resume.
I apologize to Bob. I'm sure he's a fantastic guy.
Do you think the institutions are on board?
BlackRock has got $8 billion in their fund, and they're out there telling people that it's a flight to quality. If BlackRock says it,
quality.
Larry Fink says the flight to quality.
Bitcoin is a flight to quality.
Of course. How are you going to protect yourself, right? If they're going to devalue your currency and you need something to protect against inflation and currency debasement, you got to buy Bitcoin. And I think that's why Larry Fink now is going to get institutions on board.
This is something we've been focused on digital currencies for, a couple decades. This is something we've been focused on digital currencies for, a couple decades.
Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the cash out. And we have Pump on Fox Business. Anytime Bitcoin is pumping, we see the same characters pop up on the same shows. But he talks about the supply and demand of Bitcoin. Remember, guys, all last year we pumped just off of news. So who could that be? That's right, the central banks. Remember, guys, what this whole goal is about. And that's the fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. You cannot lose track of that. Do not fall for the illusion. We know why we're pumping. And are the institutions coming in? Guys, we know the big banks and big corporations have been funding crypto from the beginning. And the central banks know if the sheep are making a little money, they get distracted. And the NWO has so many moving pieces to move them along to the agenda. And that's the reason why I created this channel. Remember, money is an illusion. And in this new digital economy, nothing will be real. And guys, what saves you is knowledge. And like I stated, yes, it feels great when the cryptos you bought low are moving up and you're making money. But never get distracted or you'll fall for the devil's tricks. Remember, greed kills. And right now we have the central banks destroying all these fiat currencies and the global economy in order to bring in the digital economy, in order to bring in the fourth industrial revolution, and it's right in front of our eyes. So make sure you get in the lab, educate, and remember, technology and money can be used for good or evil. You can't have two masters. Now, we haven't had this issue in a while, but we had Coinbase go down, and this is a publicly traded company, Bitcoin at 64,000, and then drops to 60,000 like someone was pulling a rug. And those of us who've been in crypto for a while, we've seen that movie before. And then also in the news, we keep hearing about this spot Ethereum ETF. Again, the mainstream media is pushing the narrative, and that's the reason why we also are pumping. But we know there's only one entity that can pump us like this, and that's the central bank. And we know the reason why they're doing it, because they're setting up AI for the global takeover. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
We are dealing with a large, in all caps, large surge of traffic. Apologies for any issues you encounter. The team is working to remediate.
Thought Bitcoin is a play against central bankers, specifically our Federal Reserve. And if the Federal Reserve is in a bit of a pickle, Bitcoin right now relative to other speculative assets, I mean, pick your poison. Whether you look at the micro caps or any other speculative index, they're all moving up and down over the past few years with speculation. You look at the financial conditions index, it's moving higher just as Bitcoin is moving higher. I don't think that's all a coincidence.
We saw it hit 64,000 today, and a lot of sellers came in. So in the relatively short term, it would not surprise me to see a pullback. And I tell my team every single day, even in 2017 when we had, Ethereum up 4,000%, it still had a month that was down 50%. So this is an asset that is still extremely volatile. If it pulled back 25 or 30%, wouldn't surprise me at all. But long run, I still think we go to new highs. People will certainly look at this and go, well, boy, if Ether's going to come along and do it, I want to be in ahead of it. And I think that's what we saw a lot of the action in Ether this month or the last 6 weeks or so. There's a lot more to Ethereum and some of these some of these kind of second tier coins. But yeah, that's certainly a driver of that price for Ether.
Looking down in New York because we're up, it's all going to be automobiles without drivers. Right. We're not going to need parking garages anymore. Hospital emergency room visits will be down sharply. It will come, though, at some point.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in an ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, So therefore, we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the fourth industrial revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.